The Oracle Network. Look deeper.
Welcome to Brew Crime. I'm Mike.
I'm Beck.
And I'm Nina.
All right, this is a bonus episode. We are doing an Ask Me Anything. I reached out on Facebook and Twitter and Patreon to get some questions from our listeners. So some will be really on point for true crime, some are silly. So hopefully people enjoy this. All right, so I will ask the first question. This comes from Patreon supporter and twin sister, Ange.
Oh, God.
So, who is Nina's favorite coworker?
Considering I only work with the other twin right now, I'm going to go with Anne.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, fuck.
Who is Beck's favorite sister?
Okay.
Yeah, and she also asked, who is Mike's favorite hiking buddy?
Okay.
Ange. Like I said.
Yeah,
What a teat.
Yeah. What a teat. I love it. All right, this next one comes from another supporter of Patreon, True Crime Nana. So she asked, how did we all meet? She knows it's a normal question, but she was interested. So anyone want to grab that one?
Sure. So I met Mike through his wife. Well, they weren't married yet, but Mike's partner Amber and I played softball together. So that's how I met Mike. And Nina and I used to work together. And so that's how the two of you met, right?
Yeah. And then Nina also played softball at the same league.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right, because Nina joined us on the workplace crimes episode and then joined the family.
Yeah. She didn't commit a crime. She just joined the family.
That's right. That was forever ago, it feels like, Mike.
Yeah. Well, it has been a long time now.
Me joining will be 2 years in November.
Mm-hmm.
And how far back was it that we met, Beck? I don't even remember now.
I've been in the league 10 years.
So it's probably like 8-ish years or something then?
Okay, yeah.
It's been a long time.
Nina, when did we meet?
Well, technically I worked at the company with you for 8 years. But I guess actually hanging out and talking and all that, probably 4 years?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I met you through your mom, realistically, because her and I were friends before you and I were friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
She tends to steal people from me and then I steal them back.
Yeah.
All right. Another one from True Crime Nana again. What's an unsolved crime that you were most emotional about? As in, it really hits to you to the heart, basically. Is there any one that you can think of? I mean, I would say for me, it's the Highway of Tears in BC. Just the fact that there's so many people for so many years and so many have never been solved.
I don't know about an unsolved crime for me, but I think I don't know, any of the stories we've done when there's footages of like last moments or last known recordings. Mike, I'm drawing a blank on what the couple's name was, but you had done that, and there was video footage of a police officer pulling over a couple in the last minute before he was shot and all that. Like, that was a really tough one for me.
Yeah, and of course, I am also having a problem with remembering their names, too.
And then also when, during the cult episode, the recording for my story at the end when you can hear the kids talking before the mass suicide.
Oh my God, yeah.
That one was rough for me,
too. Is that Jonestown?
Yeah.
For Unsolved, there's been no mention of this, and to be honest, I might have you cut this later, but I told you guys my cousin was killed last year, and they still have no clue what happened. So that's obviously mine.
Yeah, that would be horrible, yeah. Hopefully that gets figured out. The next question here. This is a Ghost of the Stratosphere podcast. Right back to silly question. What is your favorite chip? Potato, corn, etc.?
Salt and vinegar any fucking day.
Just plain wavy Lay's.
Ripple? Ripple Lays?
It,
Yeah,
has,
Ripple
it has to be Ripple. Okay.
Yeah.
Any kind of like spicy Doritos style
Oh
chips.
God,
Yeah.
that's the worst.
Like-
Ew.
Jalapeno and cheddar, or they're awesome. What are you talking about?
No, it's so
I
gross.
think they're not awesome. I just don't want to get dirty eating chips, and then you feel like such a fat ass when you just wake up with like a covered in dust and like orange dust of Doritos. Like I just want to eat my chips and walk away from the scene of the crime.
Well, if you're that bad at eating Doritos, maybe you shouldn't.
But it stays on your fingers. I know what you mean. It's like Cheetos or whatever, and you get the unnaturally orange fingers.
Well, before COVID, you licked your fingers. Now you have a napkin.
Like I'm gonna take a fucking napkin into a chip bag to make even more noise and draw attention to myself being a fat ass. Like, come on.
Nice. All right, the next one is from Jen from Our True Crime Podcast, one of my good friends in the podcasting world. So this question's for each of us to answer. Everyone has something they're good at. What is your thing? And then you can also put what is your least favorite thing to do.
What am I good at? Hugging.
Yes, yeah. Fuck, I miss hugs.
Yeah. Severe withdrawal. Yeah.
No doubt.
So I think something I'm good at, and to get corny, I think I'm very, very good at being thoughtful.
Yeah.
So for those that, like, I know obviously Beck, we work together and all that, but every person's birthday, everyone gets a card, cake, obviously out of pocket, doesn't matter, split it with the team, but definitely just thoughtful and appreciating people's time.
Yeah.
Especially with people having to fucking put up with me, like you deserve it. You guys fucking laugh, but you fucking know though. Right?
Yeah. Something I'm good at. God. I'm good at always trying to keep people included. I don't like seeing people like being off in the corner doing nothing by themselves. It's probably just my lack of like connection with humans right now that makes me think of that first.
Yeah.
But I'm good at hiking. I'm good at being so stubborn that even when I'm so fucking tired, I keep going so I can get to the peak. Is there something you'd say is your least favorite thing to do?
Do I give the politically correct answer, or do I tell you like the first thing that comes to mind?
Depends what you want out there.
You can do both, and if you change your mind about the really honest answer, it can be cut.
Fucking worst thing ever is exercising. Why can't I just go buy the body that I want? Why do I have to fucking work for it? It's ridiculous. I already work at work. Why can't I just buy this?
I like that. Yeah.
But I don't know. We should not share that, because I think that's just between us.
Okay.
No, I totally agree. Like, why can't I be in really good shape but also eat an outrageous amount of cheese and wine?
Yeah.
Is that too much to ask?
Right?
Why can't I look like Ryan Reynolds or something and still enjoy all the good stuff in life?
Yeah.
Dude, I'll even be ugly Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool with his fucking head cut off, and it's still anyway.
He's still ripped.
Yeah. And then there's just a little like baby dick and baby legs crossed over. Anyways.
Oh my God.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I love that movie.
Mike, ask the question again and let me actually give you a real answer.
Oh, I like
Oh, but
that answer.
I like this. We can decide later, but I like
I think we should keep that. We can still go with the new
trifecta
answer too. All right. What is your least favorite thing to do?
You know what I never fucking do? I never clean the bathtub. I don't know what it is. I think it hurts my back, first of all. I'm an old woman. I never do it. Stephanie, I've literally never cleaned our bathtub here. Stephanie does it every time. I hate doing it.
Okay, so I hate flossing.
Yeah.
When you go to the dentist and they're like, when was the last time you flossed? I want to be like, when you were here, because you fucking did it for me. You're like, what do you mean when was the last time I fucking flossed?
Yeah.
I always say it's been a while.
Yeah.
Well, now, because I had the Invisalign, I've actually been flossing and being good just because putting the trays in, I want to make sure I'm not getting cavities. But like, other than that, I'm like, what a fucking stupid invention.
I usually say I flossed for about 2 weeks after I was here last, and then I stopped.
Yeah.
Because that's the truth. You feel guilty for a while after you're at the dentist, and then you're like, I just can't be bothered.
Don't have time.
Yeah. I think one of my least favorite things to do is go to the gym. I want to join a gym again because I want to be in better shape for hiking, but God, do I fucking hate going to the gym.
Preach, sister, preach.
The next one is from Near Death Dolls podcast. How about horror movies that actually scared you?
All of them. I hate horror movies. I can listen to the most detailed true crime podcast while falling asleep and be fine. I do not watch horror movies, period.
So obviously this question's for me. I fucking love horror movies.
So do I.
It is my jam. So I don't necessarily know that this is the scariest movie I've ever seen, but definitely scariest moments I've had. And I'll set the scene. The Conjuring, the first movie. I'm not saying it was that scary, but watching it in a dark room at home with my, at that time, really good girlfriend, like her and I are hanging out, watching the movie, and all the lights are off. She has to go home. And I'm like, cool, well, you can't fucking leave. I can't walk to the bathroom in the dark. So literally went to sleep with all the lights on. At that time, as some of you know, I was previously married, which was a whole other nightmare. You have to come home and turn all the lights off. Most recently, I went to go watch The Invisible Man. And there was a scene which wasn't meant to be scary, I don't think. No fucking joke, in the theater, in the seat, jumped out of my seat and screamed.
Yeah.
They just had like a random scene with his head popping up and paint. I'm not going to get into it. And I literally like popped and screamed and I recoiled. It was fucking awful. Embarrassing.
Yeah, I jump easy, like little jump scares, but that's not scary. It's just like startling. I think I actually was just pulling up to double check the name of the movie, and it was The Conjuring as well. Not that it's scary, but it's got a little bit of that dread thing. Like paranormal movies do that. I think the reason I got into movies like Saw and Hostel and stuff, they were something new that it wasn't that it was scared me. It's just they're so messed up that it, like normal horror movies didn't really scare me at all, but those were just like, holy fuck, like that is insane.
That's that whole niche. That's the same with like the Joker, the most recent movie that came out with Joaquin Phoenix. Wasn't scary, but oh my god, I was uncomfortable the entire fucking time I was watching the movie, right?
Psychological.
Just being like, why is this happening?
Yeah, and I think that's why I don't really watch those much anymore, but back when I was, especially when I was really into horror movies, that was some of the ones I was getting to because it got a reaction out of me that I wasn't giving from most horror movies that I saw.
And to add to that, I guess favorite scary movie ever, psychological thriller, obviously Silence of the Lambs. That is my jam. Love it.
I was just going to say, I said that there's no horror movies that I like, but I do love the originals, like the original Dracula, original Wolfman, Phantom of the Opera. I love all of those old ones.
They're not really horrors per se anymore. They're just
right.
Like campy.
But that's part of what I love about them, was that at the time they were absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
And now it's like there are children's movies more scary than this.
Yep.
And or any B horror film, love it. I love it so much. When you can tell that the movie monster is someone's pet iguana, oh my god, I love that shit. I love it so much.
They can be good. They can be terrible.
All the X-Files. Because I started watching X-Files when I was in grade 1.
I can't even... No. When X-Files was on TV, I couldn't even hear the theme song without, like, being like, change the channel, or I'd leave the room. Even the theme song was too much for me.
We watched that show as a family growing up.
Oh, my God.
And I'd have nights where I wouldn't sleep, but I'd be right back at it the next week.
I'm going to share a fun, embarrassing story about myself, which we can decide if we want to keep or not. So the original It movie.
Oh, yeah.
Also, this is while I was still living in Germany. So I was either grade 1 or beginning of grade 2. I told my mom I have to watch it because I'm an adult. And she let me watch it. Yeah, that happened. So what's funny about it is I was woken up in the morning by my mom stepping on me because... Fun fact, in the middle of the night, I got so spooked out that I was even more scared of my mom to wake her up to tell her that I'm scared. that in the middle of the night, I turned on all the lights, dragged my mattress under her bed so that I could sleep beside her because I was so scared, and I pissed the bed.
Oh,
Because
shit.
after I did all of this, I was like, oh, and I gotta pee, but I couldn't fathom making it out the door again. And God forbid waking my mother.
Yeah.
I pissed myself.
Oh, that's sad.
It's great. I lesson learned. And
Don't watch it when you're a couple years, or what'd you say, grade 1?
I was either grade 1 or grade 2. It was before we moved to Canada, but
Oh
yeah.
my God, that's so young.
Yeah, that's way too young for that movie.
But you know what? I begged. My mom let me have it. Fine. You think you're an adult? Go for it. Yeah, I pissed the bed.
Yeah, I don't blame you there.
Like she fucking because she just didn't see me, so it's obviously she's just waking up, getting out of bed, being like, "What the fuck is this wet daughter doing?"
That's awesome.
I think it's still like socially acceptable to pee yourself before you're 7, so we can probably keep this in.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially when you're terrified. Or if someone puts your hand in a glass of hot water.
Yeah.
Does that
I
actually
don't,
work?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, okay.
Mike knows from experience.
Luckily not from me or not because of me, but I've been at a place where someone did that, yes.
It's fine. It's okay. We can share our stories, Mike.
Yeah. This episode of Brew Crime is brought to you by Podcorn.com. Do you run a podcast? Are you looking to start a podcast? The cost of equipment is a small part of the cost of running your show. You have to think about audio hosting, websites, editing, writing, or even merchandising. The thought of having to go out and hunt down advertising partners is a daunting task, especially if you're a small independent show like ours. This does not have to be a scary task though, because Podcorn.com is there to help you. Podcorn does the legwork of finding brands that want to work with podcasters of all sizes and package them on their website. From here, all you have to do is pitch the interested brands what you could do to help get them more exposure. You can pitch all kinds of things like pre-roll and mid-roll ads, contests, guest interviews, and even other types of ads. During the process, you get to set your own rates to boot. Podcorn also protects and supports your show to ensure that you are compensated for the work that you do. We've had the privilege to spread the word about brands like Podcorn, Best Fiends, Ballsy, and Hi-Fi Candle Studios so far. We would not be as successful as we are today without the amazing help of the team at Podcorn. So if you are looking to take your podcast to the next level, make sure to head to podcorn.com now and sign up. You will not be disappointed with your choices. Explore sponsorship opportunities and start monetizing your podcast by signing up today. Podcorn.com/podcasters. All right, the next couple questions here are all from Emily from Morbidology. Number 1, what got you into true crime?
I think the first case I read that got me into true crime was the Stephen Truscott case.
Is there a reason or?
Well, it was in Ontario. It was in a small town. I don't know. I mean, obviously the actual crime happened before I was born, but he was so young and the case was so circumstantial. And yeah, I don't know. Wrongfully convicted crimes, I think, are something that interests me. So I think that was maybe the first case that really got me into it.
Nina?
The first case.
It doesn't have to be the first case, but what got you into true crime though, right?
I think it's more just the fascination of like what some people really do. Like what is the world? I don't know. I think maybe obviously being affected by the Balkan War, leaving Europe, moving to Canada, and just being around so many different situations of just being like, how do things function? Scary movies, like seeing bad people on TV, and like how do you beat the bad people? And then obviously true crime from there. So I don't know that there's a particular case that like fascinated me. I know I talk like obviously I'm fascinated by the idea of a Jeffrey Dahmer, things like that, but it's more just the understanding and the psychology behind it of at what point can someone step in and make a difference, right? Like with him, there was a lot of signs leading up to it, a lot of cries for help, and nothing came from that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's more just the psychology of how fucked up are people really, and what leads them to being fucked up, and what can we do to prevent it or see it.
For sure. Mm-hmm. For me, it's I think growing up in the city of Surrey, there'd been some violence and stuff there. Surrey, especially known nowadays for some gang violence a couple of years ago. But when I was growing up there, there was a young guy named Jesse Cadman who was taking transit, and he was, I think, outside of Central City Mall, which is Surrey Central now. And he was just coming home on transit, and some guys stopped him and murdered him over at his ball cap. And out of that case, his father ended up in politics and ended up having
Changing the rules. Yep.
changing the rules. And he also moved his way up to the point where he was, dying of cancer, and he still went to a huge thing out in Ontario and was part of a vote for a huge thing as an independent at that point, because he wanted to stick to his guns and lost his party affiliation because of it. So when Jesse was killed, Chuck, his father, helped change the violent crime laws in BC. And growing up on that case, it was really interesting to see, and it was good to see that, sometimes through horrible crimes, things can actually be changed.
I don't know. I think it's important to keep the conversation going,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her next one here is, what has been your favorite case to cover?
I did the Stephen Truscott one, and I had just mentioned it. The John List one is really interesting to me as well, just because he was on the run for so long, and then what eventually got him caught was that aged bust, that sculpture of him, the bust, and they'd aged him, and the new image was so exact to what he looked like. It was shocking.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really interesting. And the crime itself was horrific and completely pointless. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting details in that case.
I think, Beck, one of my random favorite one of yours is when you talked about the Jesus penis. That was
the prepuce or whatever.
Yeah,
that
one was fun for sure.
Yeah, I think for my episodes, obviously research into the Jeffrey Dahmer stuff, and then I also liked from our killer couples episode talking about Carla Homolka and Paul Bernardo.
Yeah, they're fucking horrible.
Yeah, that was another more memorable one, or just researching it and just being every other thing I'm seeing, really, are you serious? Yeah, That was a good one for me.
I think for me it was Bruce MacArthur. It's been quite a while since we did that episode, and it definitely had some backlash from people back in Ontario. But I think it's so important to share fairly current case. He had just been convicted of the crimes when I did the episode, and it's so important to share some of the local Canadian cases. There's the LGBT community, much like the First Nations communities across Canada. There's been a lot of violence against them, and it's important to share that and try to, shed a light on that. I think that's one of my favorite cases to cover. It's definitely a dark case. It's one of my longest cases I've ever researched and written for this show. But yeah, that's probably mine. So her next one was, what's your favorite true crime book, documentary, or movie? So I think the right answer is her books. Emily G. Thompson.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed reading the books that we did the interview on. Don Stradley's books there on the boxing were quite a lot of fun, but I don't read a lot of true crime books. I don't read a lot of books in general right now because I'm so busy and I fall asleep easily. But documentaries or movies are probably a little better. I really enjoyed the movie. What was that movie called now? Shoot. Yeah, I'll come back to my favorite movie.
For books, I have actually been reading Emily's book on cults. It's been really beautiful, the weather in Vancouver, so I've been plowing through that. As for documentaries, I fucking watch documentaries like I eat Tic Tacs a lot and quick. Most recent documentary that comes to mind that I've been thinking about quite a bit, it's on Netflix. It's the trials of Gabriel Fernandez.
Oh my God. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I watched it essentially in a sitting, and then I watched it the second time with my boyfriend. That was a rough one.
Yeah, it's really horrible. My cousin said that she watched the first 5 minutes and then she had to stop because she just couldn't.
Yeah, I found the movie I was thinking of. It's actually Rory Culkin, and it's Lords of Chaos, which was based off of the sort of the launch of Norwegian black metal in Oslo. Now it's a movie. It's based on, I think it said based on truth and lies, but it's based on the story of this one band that was the start of Norwegian black metal, and it's really, really fucked up. They were burning down churches and everything in Norway.
I just heard the My Favorite Murder podcast of that.
Oh, really? Nice. I want to cover that at some point.
I'm really far behind, so it was a while ago. For books for me, I'm still reading Emily's Unsolved Murders, and it's like it's a bunch of like short stories of true crime. It's really good. If there's anything that Max Haynes, he's a Canadian true crime author, if there's anything he's written that I haven't read, I would be shocked. He's an amazing true crime author. I love him. And then the Stephen Truscott book called Until You Are Dead is one of the best true crime books I've ever read.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, this one's from JT from True Crime Lab, and it's to me. Mike, how do I get my beard to be the thing of epics that are written about? So, just don't shave.
Genetics helps.
Genetics help,
sure.
yeah. I mean, when this is all over, I could shave it off and I could send a fake beard for you or something. I don't know.
Don't
For
do
the
that.
right Patreon donation,
Exactly.
that could be done.
You could have Mike's beard.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big Patreon donation, but yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
All right, this one's from Eat Crime Podcast. What's one case y'all could never cover?
Like a case I don't want to have anything to fucking do with.
Yeah. I think we said we'd probably never cover, like, mass shootings at high schools and schools
school
in
shootings.
general.
We
Very
don't do-
unlikely to cover any of those.
I think that, and then I think for me it's war crimes. Just don't want to fucking have anything to do with it.
Yeah. Other than school shootings, I'm sure there'd be a case that I'd stumble across that I'd never want to cover, but I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Well, yeah, I can't think of something I don't want to cover. I think it's more that I don't think I can do it the justice it needs. And for me, the war one stands out because just politics and people's opinions. I just don't fuck. I'm not going there.
This one's from Murder Up North. What's the first case that struck a chord with you and why? For example, mine was the murder of James Bulger because he was a couple weeks younger than my little brother.
Ted Bundy. For me, I guess just more he's a normal, average-looking guy. He couldn't have committed these crimes. Like, he's a stand-up citizen. And then obviously the judge also who, wishes he chose a different route because he could have been so much better. It's like this guy fucking murdered how many women and he's here? So that one always stands out for me.
I think for me it was, again, I've already mentioned it, but Jesse Cadman's case, he was murdered in 1992, so I was 10 years old, and just to realize that someone could be killed over something as stupid as a baseball cap in my own city kind of was definitely an eye-opener as a young child.
I guess I feel like mine's already been answered on the other ones, like about Stephen Truscott. But there's other, like, wrongfully convicted.
Yeah.
Like Guy Paul Moran, for example, wrongfully convicted Canadian. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, this one's from our friend CJ from Beyond the Rainbow. What have you learned in life that is the most useful?
Wow.
Yeah, deep.
When to shut up. Stop talking.
That's an important one. Maybe lying's not worth it because you always get fucking caught.
There's a saying about holding a grudge. It's something like holding a grudge is like taking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Yeah, it just doesn't, you're not doing yourself any favors by holding on to pain caused by someone else or like resentment or whatever. It doesn't hurt them, it hurts you.
Would this be it? When you hold a grudge, you want someone else's sorrow to reflect your level of hurt? Is that what you're meaning? Or I just Googled it. I don't know.
Yeah, you get the idea though.
Yeah.
You're only causing harm to yourself by holding on to fucking bullshit that other people have done to you. So don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Let that shit go. Move on.
Okay, this one's from 3 Beers In Podcast. So he has a 2-part question. Why is London, Ontario the serial killer capital? And if you lived in London, how many murder weapons would you be able to hide in your beard? So that part's for me. Is it actually?
I've never heard that.
I'm not sure if it's truth or not.
To be fair, my complete knowledge of London, Ontario, my great aunt lived there. So, I mean, we went there to visit her. So my knowledge of it is it was the only place growing up where I ever saw an ice cream truck, because we grew up so far into the country that was never a thing I saw except for on TV. So I don't know. Is it the Canadian
Here we
serial
go.
crime capital?
London, Ontario was world's serial killer capital. During a 25-year period, there were 32 homicides, with all victims being women, children, author says. So there you go.
Or maybe Canadians just not that good with getting away with it, because we're just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I did the thing, and we just got caught
Sorry.
more.
Sorry.
Sorry, I killed it her.
Here we go. Only 192 kilometers southwest of Toronto, the city became the serial killer capital of the world from 1959 to 1984. With only a population of roughly 200,000 people at the time, the city may have had as many as 6 serial killers, more per capita than anywhere else on the planet. Huh. Well, I didn't even know that. So, I don't know why it's the serial killer capital. Population was low. Population of Ontario is one of the highest. Is Ontario the biggest in Canada, or is it Quebec? Can't remember.
I would think Ontario.
So maybe it was just that. I don't know.
I thought the Pacific Northwest was the place to be for serial killers.
I think it's a per capita thing. That's what it sounds like.
Oh.
But yes, Pacific Northwest definitely seems to be now, or at least in the more recent future.
That was in the 70s, though.
Well, this was before the 70s, though.
Okay. Well, I guess they passed the torch.
I guess so. So I'm not sure. Can't fully answer that. But how many murder weapons would I be able to hide in my beard?
At least 2.
I don't know. Like, if they're the size of pens, I can fit a lot of them in my beard. So probably a dozen at least.
Cyanide pills, you could fit a lot in there.
Fit a lot of those in there. Probably fit the whole pill bottle in. This one I think is for me. This one's from Always Time for True Crime podcast. What's the best way to order beer from other areas of the world? Other provinces, states, or countries? So I think, depends where you are in the world. I think United States, you can fairly easily order beer into the country. In Canada, you can't. It's illegal. So if you try to order beer from outside in the world, it's probably just going to be taken by customs.
Yeah, you can't even province to province here, depending on the province.
You can't, but a lot of people trade beer by buying shipping. You can buy your shipping online from Canada Post, and if you package it up yourself, pay for the posting, put on a label, and hand it in to a Canada Post place, there's no questions. So that's how everyone who trades beer in Canada ships beer. It's opened up a little bit.
Not that you would know.
Not at all. No, haven't done that many times. Haven't shipped beer to Manitoba, to Quebec, to Nova Scotia. There's also, with new changes of laws in Canada, you can ship beer, a brewery or whatever can ship beer to different provinces now, which is a fairly new thing. But I know Americans, they lie about what they're shipping and say it's like olive oil and stuff because it's a bunch of bottles.
Hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer now. That'd be a good one, yeah. Although you're still admitting it's alcohol then. So it's not always easy. Sometimes you just got to look for a cool liquor store to find a place that buys beer from all over the place. This one's from the Faves of Our Lives podcast, another one of our Patreon supporters. Are there any cases that you've covered that have really stuck with you, kind of haunted you?
I mean, obviously the serial killer ones and like the mass crimes. The cult one was a big one for me because this is many, many, many people losing their lives. And then the other one is just some of the injustices that have been done.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any single case, but I always hate when, like, we just finished recording Unsolved missing people, and that's always rough, not knowing what happened. A series of cases that I want to cover, which always kind of bothers me, again, is the Highway of Tears in northern BC, just because there's people that have gone missing, and no one knows what happened to them.
Yeah, the Brock Turner case that I also covered.
Ugh.
Like, I just fucking hate that kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like what I mean by, injustice, right? Like, oh, but he had a promising career to become a fucking swimmer or whatever. He
Who gives a shit?
Fucking assaulted.
I guess he shouldn't have shat on that opportunity then.
Yeah. There's another one, white privilege in general, that whole topic, because it just pisses me off so much that it's a real thing. All right, and then the last question we've got today, another one from Faith of Our Lives. How do you balance the dark nature of a true crime podcast and still keep the humor that you do? And do you find that it's difficult at times?
Alcohol.
Oh, it's definitely difficult at times. And there's just some cases that are completely out of bounds for any sort of comedy, unless you're making fun of the piece of shit perpetrator.
Which it's always okay to do, in my opinion.
Exactly. Because who cares about their ego or whatever?
I think Nina's right, though. It definitely helps just having a little bit of alcohol when we're recording, just to loosen you up, because, I mean, most of the cases we cover are pretty terrible. There are some cases that are pretty funny, too, but...
I definitely enjoy those ones that we do the most, where, like Nina was saying, the Jesus' prep use. That was a fun episode.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
But they can't, obviously, they're not on like that. It is true crime, so...
Yeah, because Britt here from Faves of Our Lives said she prefers true crime podcasts that can keep it light, but I've always wondered how difficult it is to make that happen. It all depends on the case.
Yeah,
I think it depends also on our personalities too, right? Like, I think we're pretty funny people. So trying to make light of it by still respecting the nature of the topic, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you can make light of the topic, as long as you're respecting the victims, then kind of it's open season, right?
Yeah, and respecting the victims is obviously number one.
Yeah, it definitely is. All right. Well, thanks for all the questions, and if anyone likes what we've done here, maybe you can send us some more, and we can do another one in the future. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Bye. Smell you later.
But not for a while, because we're still under quarantine.
Yeah.
Brew Crime's intro was created by Mike using Creative Commons Attribution licensed audio from purple-planet.com, soundbible.com, and freesoundeffects.com. Logo design was by Ben Greenberg. All cases and stories were written by Beck, Nina, and Mike, and our sources are put into the show notes for each episode. We always want to give credit to the people that research the cases we talk about. Check out our store at brewcrime.threadless.com, where you can purchase swag like t-shirts, phone cases, beach towels, and all kinds of cool stuff. We can also be found on your favorite podcast apps, our hosts, Spreaker.com, or BrewCrime.com, as well as at BrewCrime on Twitter, at BrewCrime on Facebook, at Facebook.com/groups/BrewCrime. Thanks for listening. This has been a production of Pacific Beer Chat.
Cutscene. Hi, Homer.
No, we'll keep that.
Look, it's
Hi, it's your vacation home, Mom. Hello. Okay, back to scene. He's like, why are you fucking sleeping? And all the lights are on. I'm like, they just...
All right, and then we got some questions here too.
How many more questions are there, Mike?
One or two.
Okay.
So this is like 8 more questions than I thought there were going to be. I didn't realize people actually care.